Beetlejuice is back, baby. This time with Beetlejuice Beetlejuice 2024.
I want you two kids to know this is a safe space, okay? Feel free to express yourself. Don't be afraid. I sense there's an enabler here, but we'll get to that.
What can I say? I said his name 3 times already. That means the number one, numero primera, pimp from the underworld abyss, from the afterlife, is now coming back into the picture because we are looking at the sequel movie that was made more than 30 years later from the original film. And that original film from 1988 I had done as my previous video, which I reviewed. And I had watched this sequel movie on an airplane ride, a very long one. And I watched the sequel movie right after I had seen the first one because it was within their catalog of movies that they had. So yeah, I got to see these back to back, pretty much compare them side by side and see how I felt about them. Now it goes without a doubt that this movie had a lot to live up to because again, nobody expected this sequel to drop and all of a sudden they announced the news. You found out some crazy news about it as well, such as Michael Keaton is going to be returning back as Beetlejuice. You also had the actress who played Lydia and her mom coming back, so you had some reoccurring people. And on top of that, you also had Tim Burton coming back and directing the movie. So because of that reoccurring sort of magical flair to it, as well as new cast members being integrated, some big names and big people such as Danny DeVito, William Dafoe, Jenna Ortega, this was getting a lot of hype up, a lot of build up, as well as a lot of promotion. So I wanted to check out how this actually fared. I saw some people briefly talk about it, but nothing in detail that would kind of sway my opinion or lead me one way or the other. That and I have an absolute shit memory, so it probably just escaped out my brain. So yeah, without further ado, let's take a look at the sequel movie, the modern spin on the Beetlejuice franchise, and how did it actually turn out. So this movie opens up with Lydia. That's right, the main girl, the protagonist from the old movie, is now back and she's grown up. As an adult, she has her own basically news kind of show where she goes around to different houses and investigates paranormal activity. So she's a ghost hunter, and this makes sense because we all know that Lydia has the sixth sense. She's able to perceive different ghost and afterlife figures. So she's kind of exploiting that to kind of get some fame, use that to her advantage. You also have her producer who's kind of like a love interest figure. He's sort of just giving off the idea. He's kind of just using her for her money and clout. So it is what it is. Boy's trying to catch a bag, and he's also trying to catch another type of bag, if you get my drift. And then you find out that because Lydia is grown up, her mother is still alive. However, dealing with the grief of her father passing away. That's right, Charles, the father from the previous movie, has unfortunately died within like an adventure accident. He was out on a plane ride. The plane crashed in the ocean. He got eaten in half by a shark. Very tragic, very horrific. So now they're mourning his loss. And you then lead to Astrid, and you find out that Astrid is actually Lydia's daughter. And Lydia's daughter Astrid is going to the Miss Academy, like the Women's Academy school that Lydia went to as a child. So they go try to find Astrid, and you find out that she's played by Jenna Ortega, who is a perfect person to cast within the Beetlejuice franchise because again, she's been in the modern Scream movies. She also is in the Miss Wednesday Netflix, I believe, series. I don't keep up with it, but I know that the Wednesday series is huge, ongoing, and it's very, very popular. So she's the perfect type of fit for this type of movie franchise. You find out that Astrid is sort of reciprocating the type of emotions that Lydia had when she was younger. She doesn't fit in with society. She's kind of a social outcast. She has a lot of malice and kind of resentful feelings towards her mother as well as her grandmother. She thinks their family is just weird and causes her problems. And on top of that, Lydia's husband, Astrid's dad, had actually died within the Amazon because he was sort of like a nature conservationist, kind of promoting that type of idea, and he went out to the Amazon, got lost, and died. And although Lydia claims she's able to see ghosts and has a sixth sense, she never has described seeing her father's apparition for Astrid. So she kind of feels like her mom is kind of a sham, kind of a fraud, and just isn't conveying full messages to her. And that causes some distance. So there is family tension off the rip. And as the human side is dealing with the funeral, you then cut to the afterlife where you meet Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice again, and you find out that he's kind of like the new boss in town. He's kind of leading the after call reception office. He has a bunch of those shrunken head guys now working for him as employees.
Jesus, Bob. Can't you see him concentrating here? You know, Bob.
So he's got to the management position, but he's still working under the main CEO of the afterlife right now, who's played by the best character in the entire movie by another one of my absolute favorite actors, William Dafoe. We all know William Dafoe. You all know how many movies he's in. Green Goblin, other stuff. That one movie, about Jesus. You know all these different movies. William Dafoe's in Aquaman recently. He's in a bunch of stuff. William Dafoe. We all love him. And he's here playing a guy that I believe is named Wolf Jackson, who was a actor who had kind of worked in like B movies, and he did his own stunts, kind of like Jackie Chan. And unfortunately, he had a live stunt involving a grenade that exploded and ended up killing him. So that's why he's leading here in the afterlife. And even though he's already dead, he's still kind of trying to live up to his actor role. He tries acting like your typical kind of detective, your cool action movie star. So I appreciate that. And obviously, William Dafoe's playing him, so he does a great job in terms of his role. Very, very fun character and makes you constantly laugh throughout the movie.
Hands on your head, asswipe, or I'll spray paint the wall with your brains. Oh, come on, dude. That was way too forced. Remember, throw it away. Underplay it. You gotta keep it real.
And you find out that in addition to some new management changes and some new leaders, you also have a new villain. I believe her name is Dolores LaFavere or something like that. And she's going around and basically soul-sucking people. She's an immortal, able to drain the souls out of many different people in the afterlife. And she has ties to Beetlejuice because she is his ex-wife. You find out a little bit about Beetlejuice's backstory, which was kind of hinted from the first movie, that back during the Black Plague, he had found Dolores and basically kicked it off with her. She was a part of this immortal kind of satanic cult thing, and she stayed immortal by draining people's souls through rituals. She wanted to do it to Beetlejuice, but Beetlejuice caught on to her and managed to dupe her. And now you obviously know from the last movie, spoiler, that he got married to Lydia as part of his contract thing. So she's getting jealous and getting on a rampage for her baby daddy ex-husband issues. And listen, man, I get it, bro. She's a problem. She's a crash out. She's got toxic behavior. We all seen it before, especially your boy. Although I ain't gonna lie, when you got a shawty that's soul-sucking like this girl, Dolores, man, it's crazy, bro. Because that should be a positive. But listen, I get it. She's taking lives. She's a serial killer. I know the problem. But hey, man, don't look at me, because even Beetlejuice himself joked about her skills and why he got with her.
She's a soul sucker.
Oh, yeah, you could say that again.
So you have the turmoil of the two different worlds, the human side, the afterlife side, and how they're going to conjoin together because of one common figure, Astrid. Because Astrid ends up meeting a certain person in the story who I'm not going to talk about for spoiler, but they have a very important role to the story, and they end up connecting both sides and causing this giant mayhem of a wild tale by Tim Burton. But still, it was very entertaining, very interesting, more complex than the first movie, and yeah, I can say that this was a fun time. So this movie, as I said, had more details and complexity than the first movie. First movie is very simplistic, and it is a fun time, no doubt. But here it felt like there's a lot more going on that plays to its strengths, that plays to some weaknesses as well. Certain parts it can kind of get jumbled and feel like there's a lot more moving pieces. But overall, I do say that I appreciate the complexity of this movie. You have stuff involving emotional relationships between families and new characters. That's very nice to see. And again, there's no bad actors or actresses in this movie. Whether it's the reoccurring cast members or the new cast members, they all do pretty much a great job. So those emotional connections between family and friends really did hit. And even though there is a lot of whimsical stuff and gimmicks, it was still a fun time. You get more to Beetlejuice's backstory, kind of figuring out about his ex-wife, the thing involving the Black Plague. He has more of an integral role within this story, so that's very nice to see. In the previous movie, he had like 17 minutes of screen time. Here, he's pretty much, I don't know how much screen time he had, but it feels like he's more involved in the movie. He's got a management role now in the afterlife. He's involved with Lydia. He's involved with Dolores. He's involved with various different characters. He even gets a little bit of like comeuppance, kind of redemption help towards the end, but still maintains his typical character. So that was very nice to see more character development out of the legendary Beetlejuice. It's also extremely fun to see him and William Dafoe paired together. Obviously, Michael Keaton and William Dafoe are two actors that are pretty much like good in everything that they're in, and I love seeing them in every single movie role that I've witnessed them in. So seeing them together, they are an awesome good cop, bad cop duo. Really, really fun to see. I kind of wish we got more of it. We do get like quite a bit, but I feel like it'd have been way more fun just to see a movie centered around them because they both got that comedy, that humor, that action kind of stuff going on.
Recognize this, puss?
Never seen that chick before in my life or afterlife.
And even though claymation is not a big focus in this movie like it was in the previous one, there is still disturbing and creepy scenes, so you can get some fun out of there too.
All right, I will.
And all the new characters do a good job. William Dafoe goes without question as Wolf Jackson, but Jenna Ortega as Astrid does a great job as the sympathetic character role. You see the dynamic between her and Lydia, her and her family, her kind of like outlooks in life. And she does a good job. Jenna Ortega is, again, a great actress. And the new character that gets introduced in the later half of the movie, I liked their role as well, specifically with the relationship to one of the main characters in the story, and seeing how that unfolded was pretty fun too. You also got cool comedic scenes with Danny DeVito as a janitor for a brief role. This very hilarious Chinese laundromat guy. Also, you have Bob, who's the shrunken head dude from the first movie, I think. He even gets more of an integral role in this story. And there's a scene towards the climax where some characters are forced onto the Soul Train in the afterlife, and the Soul Train is a pun on the name because it's a bunch of different people dancing and grooving out to soul music while they're all getting led to the heaven or afterlife. So that's very cool to see that as a gimmick. So overall, I might have a little bit of a hot take with this movie, but I'm going to give it a slightly better score than the first movie. I know y'all are like, ain't no fucking way, boy. Boy, ain't no damn way, boy.
Ain't no fucking way, boy. Boy, ain't no way, boy. Boy, ain't no way, boy.
As for the reasons that I had mentioned, there's more complexity, there's more emotional relationships and going on, there's more events going on. Beetlejuice had more of an integral role. William Dafoe as Wolf Jackson was super fun. Jenna Ortega felt like a great inclusion and perfect fit to the story, and I like the fact that her and Lydia connect on being mother and daughter. The new character that got introduced in the second half, I really enjoyed how their storyline was executed and their role to the story, and there's a lot of good humor and kind of creepy, weird moments and gimmicks throughout the story, expanding on the world of the afterlife. So I feel like it improved overall as a sequel onto some of the stuff that was kind of established in the first movie. And for a sequel to be kind of better than the first movie in a horror franchise is very cool to me because, stuff like Halloween 2 kind of did that for me. But Halloween 2 took place like a couple years after the first movie. Here it's over 30 years later. Nobody was expecting the sequel to drop at this time. And since it came out, you could tell that they put a lot of care, time, and effort into it. And that kind of makes me respect it a little bit more as well, that they did not throw the ball. They actually felt like they did a well-done sequel, a well-done extension onto the first movie without trying to emulate too much of the first movie to make it like a remake or go full weird with it, trying to change up stuff. No, they found the right balance, and I think that that's always key. So yeah, the first movie is good, but I actually think that Beetlejuice 2024 is actually better. And I'm definitely going to rewatch this one later in the future. Let me know what you guys think down below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? How do you rank the two movies? Did it live up to the hype for you or even surpass it or maybe underwhelm you? But yeah, overall my thoughts, a good movie, improved a little bit from the previous one, around the same tier, but I would just put this one first. So yeah, good job to everybody out there involved with this movie. You really honored the franchise well, and I gotta give my shout outs and kudos to you. That's all I got for today for this review, so if you enjoyed, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and comment down below something nice. Those are free ways to support me, and of course, let me know down below your thoughts about this movie, your thoughts about the Beetlejuice franchise, and how it turned out. And yeah, I'm gonna peace out now. I'm gonna give y'all a dance sequence as we wrap it up. And of course, your boy is out, but forget Beetlejuice, we gonna do it my way. So, Horrorlander, Horrorlander, Horrorlander.